Hi guys. I see that a lot of you are online already and having a chat, which is good. I'll just wait for this to kick in and make sure the sound is okay. So if you can let me know on the chat if sounds okay, then I will jump on and move forward. And I know that a lot of you didn't see or couldn't see the link on your dashboards. Which was strange, and I'm not sure why that's happened. Oh, good. Okay, so you can hear me. Cool. We usually send out an email as well, but it's, to be honest, it just sort of didn't happen this week. It sort of all comes down to the team here, and it just got out of hand. But this video is going to be here, so I might send a link after the webinar, so anyone, if they've missed out, they can actually come in and have a look. Okay, cool. So I'll get started. I see that a lot of you are online, which is good. So I'll just quickly give a brief overview of what we're going to talk about, just touch base on the whole thing. So we'll talk about the new Layby systems that are coming shortly on Bluethumb and touch base on a few points, and mainly why we going to, why we collaborating with these guys, how do they actually work for collectors, and what we can expect, how you can actually leverage their branding and their services and what they offer in your own marketing and your own portfolios when you market yourself, and how you can get your hands on those branding materials as well, so their logos and the way they describe that process, and what actually works for their clients. After this, I'll also briefly introduce a couple of new features that are coming in the next week, so which is mainly on your artwork upload page. So a bunch of new options being made available, and I'll just show you a couple of screenshots. It's not live yet, so I can't actually show you properly, but I have some screenshots that might be interesting, and I'll also touch base quickly on the new art emails, which is for followers. When you upload new artworks, emails are sent out to the followers. I'll give you a quick update on what's happening there as well. Cool. We'll try and keep it to 45 minutes today. And I'll try to keep the last 15 minutes for Q&A. So if you have questions, feel free to put it in the chat. Once I've sort of gone through the points that I've just described, I'll go through those questions and I'll address them. Oh, and it's just me today. Sarah and the team, they are looking after the exhibition that's coming up on Thursday with Bridget McNabb and Kimberly Utweiler, that we're having in our Melbourne studio. So if you guys are in Melbourne, any of you are in Melbourne, please feel free to come in on Thursday. I think there's a link on the Facebook group as well to the event. Okay, cool. I'm just going to keep an eye on the chat so I don't miss anything important while this is going out. Here we go. Okay, great. Cool. Right. So Laybys. So in a nutshell, we are collaborating with three main Layby service providers, which you probably already know about. Afterpay, the most famous one there is Zip Money and ZipPay. They are the second biggest Layby credit providers for retailers and online shoppers. And Art Money, which is a specialized service only for the art industry, pretty much based on the same model as these two other guys. Now, I'll just touch base on three main points why we are collaborating with these guys. And just before I get to that, the decision to come and sort of join hands with these guys has come after a very long deliberation period as well. The first time we touched base with these guys was probably in early 2018, and a lot of back and forth has happened. A lot of things have been discussed. Because we both major brands, it's important to have set clear expectations on what's going to happen. Anyway, so essentially what it comes down to is three major points with all of these guys. The first and probably the most important one is that these individually come with a whole new independent and new set of buyers and collectors who are already used to this service. What that means is, for example, Afterpay itself, it has 3.6 million users, only Australian users who already use Afterpay service to buy things. Which means they're familiar with online shopping, they're familiar with using the service and trust the service, which means that they already have a credit line with these guys. So with Afterpay, when you sign up, they do like a very quick online check. So these guys have already passed through that. Now, with services, so that is one major factor. Zip Money has, I think, about 1.2 or 1.6 unique million users in Australia again, that they are not sort of like covered. A bit of it overlaps with Afterpay, but most of it is completely different because they offer slightly different services. And Art Money is, I'm not entirely sure how big their database is, but they're linked up with a lot of bigger galleries. Mostly because their credit limit is much, much higher than Zip Money and Afterpay. So that's the main factor, is that these guys come with their own set of followers, which once a brand is linked up with them, that traffic comes to us as well. So that is completely new. We have about 100,000 collectors with us so far, and these guys, they're not all collectors, they're buyers, but they still are potential buyers, and so millions of them sort of can come to the site through these. The next biggest factor is just ease of purchase. You guys have been talking about abandoned carts, and you know what abandoned cart is. Basically, in a nutshell, when someone adds something to cart, goes to the final order page, considers all the option, and then decides not to buy, we call that an abandoned cart. Now, the most common reason for this to happen statistically is, I can't pay for this right now. I want this, I really like it, I may have enough funds to do it, but if I do that, I'll run out of all funds, and I don't want to do that right now. And these services sort of hit them at this particular pain point, and it sort of resolves that for them, and it's quite easy. So that ease of purchase is significant. I'll give you an example, and this is not even, this is actually kind of funny, and it's now frustrating me. While I was trying to try Zip Money to see how it works and how easy it is, I was sort of testing that on a phone's website to see how that actually goes. And what I thought would still take at least a couple more steps for the actual order to be placed, it wasn't the case, and it took one click for me to confirm the order, and they told me that I've actually bought that piece, which now I'm in the process of trying to return it, which is a completely different story for that to happen. But anyway, the point is that ease of purchase is significant. So when people actually try to buy something, a lot of factors get involved, and being the names as big as they are, it really makes it easy for them to make that final decision of actually going with it. That brings us to the third point, which is really significant, is trust. These brands and these services have a completely new level of following and the trust in them. So to explain that in simple words, if a new person comes across on Bluethumb and they really like a piece, which is, for example, $3,000, which is a significant amount for them, they've never heard of Bluethumb before, they've never heard of that artist before, but if they know or they've heard of one of these services, which is Afterpay, Zip, or whatever, Art Money, they have that trust on those services, so that immediately sort of gets transferred to Bluethumb as well, and to the artist as well. So that quite easily just convinces them to go with it, because they can trust that particular brand, and that is really important. Afterpay is the biggest of them all, and Zip Money is also significantly big, and the trust is really important. And when these kind of ties happen, that happens both ways. So that is really important as well. Now, a couple of other things that might happen and we expect them to happen from what we read and what we've researched about this is these services move purchasers and buyers away from the asking for discount behavior, which means that if I'm buying, say for example, $1,000 thing, it could be anything. If I have to pay in full right now, I would try and find the best price for it. So if the only possibility is to actually reach out and ask for discounts, I'll do that. So if I only have to pay $900, that's a good deal. Although if I have to pay the same amount in say 4 months or 5 months, I wouldn't really care about those $100 that much. And that happens practically quite a lot. So when you know that you have the option to pay over 3 or 4 months or 5 months or 10 months or whatever, the discounts sort of become not that important. And this is what has happened, that these services have moved these purchasers, these buyers, these collectors away from the discount behavior, and we are hoping that this will continue. And because this sort of like aligns with what we go for as well. Now, this is mostly just about Bluethumb, and I just want to highlight these few points. Is that first of all, Bluethumb, we quite strongly don't agree with the discount behavior. And I won't go into detail. You would have noticed that already from the newsletters that we send out, the marketing that we do, the ads that you see. You would have hardly ever noticed us advertising your artwork saying, take 10% off if you sign up, or sign up to Bluethumb and get this, or this artist is having a clearance studio sale or whatever. We don't do that. That doesn't happen. And that there's a very long strategy, there's a long-term strategy behind that for that to happen, because we don't want that behavior. We don't want that culture sort of to be associated with our brand. So that's really important to us. Now, more than 90% of sales that go through Bluethumb, they are full value sales. So there are no discounts applied, nothing is applied to it. People like it and purchase it because they value the art, because that's important to them. The only people who have ongoing discounts with us are trade clients. By trade clients, we mean that these are interior designers who work with Bluethumb on different projects after projects come back. And among that too, not all of them have discount codes. People who are sole traders, where they can offer this service to their clients for a bit of incentive, that's when this gets involved. Most of our bigger trade clients, they don't really go for discount. And trade clients don't use payment plans, because the client is paying for them. Anyway, so basically the idea of discounts getting implemented along with the zip afterpay and art money commission fee it's a fringe case scenario, and it's highly unlikely to happen. And just coming back to the point of, we don't really promote discounts. We don't try to convert when someone's thinking about a piece. We don't try to get them a discount to convert that sale, unless and until that is the only way that they come up and say, look, this is the budget, and that's if it's small enough, it's fine. If not, then we reach out to you. So essentially, these are 3 big brands that we are going with. And what we want to do is channel their reach, their presence, their potential buyers, the work that they've already done in instilling the idea that online purchase is fine. You buy now, you pay now, you commit rather. You commit now, the artwork or whatever the thing comes to you, and then you pay over time. This whole concept, which is new to a lot of traditional art collectors, or sort of people who are not millennials, like people who are older, it's new to them, but these guys, they're quite used to it. So that's the idea, that we channel this whole section, new wave of buyers, and have them come on to Bluethumb, which opens up a lot of different avenues for us. So those are the 3 main points that I want to talk about these. And I know you guys have questions, and that's just towards the end. Post it in the chat and we can address that later on. A few of you have already reached out on emails, and we've tried to reply to all of them as well. Now, I'll just quickly go into how can you actually use these services, their branding, their best practice suggestions, their logos, and what they use into your own branding. So what usually happens is all of these services, they have these really simplistic and attractive steps that they advertise. So like, for example, Afterpay, how that works is, and they have a fixed model, is that they simply split the total amount of the order in 4 equal fortnightly installments, which means that if you're buying a $200 piece, you pay $50 after first fortnight, $50 after that, $50 after that, and all that. So they break it down into 4 installments, and it's really easy to convey to the buyers. I think we already have some links posted in the description of this video for these different brands and their guidelines. So just click on that. You can go there. They also have their logos and their branding stuff that you can actually use. If you have your own portfolio, you have your website, or when you're sort of like advertising your stuff on any other channels. If you do want to advertise, then you can actually purchase through these services. You can also do that. To be honest, it increases conversions because the price factor, the idea that you can't afford this right now, sort of gets out of the way. People are quite likely to make that decision because they know they have longer to pay for it. Both of Afterpay, Zip, and ArtMoney, they all have different sort of logos and their different guidelines. So the 2 links that I've posted, I'm pretty sure those are for Afterpay and Zip. ArtMoney, I couldn't find the direct link for it, but in any case, if I couldn't find a link on their website, I can just make that available for you guys as well to use their logos and what they actually do. And it will be handy for you guys to understand how it actually works for the collectors. So when you're actually explaining it to someone, when you are working on, when you're putting that on your site, or when you're talking to someone directly, you can actually walk them through the whole thing. We're going to be using their logos and how that works on the site as well. So ArtMoney and ArtMoney should be live on the site this week, towards the end of this week. And the other 2 should be towards the end of April. So once they're live, you will be able to see on different artworks how these things work quite clearly as well. So it's quite transparent and quite simple for the buyers to understand how that works. Cool. So that's about these. And I'm sure you guys will have questions, so I'll just keep an eye on the chat so I can note them down. Cool. I'll try and moving on to the next point, and I'll come back to the questions in a minute. Moving on to the next point, which is we are releasing a new artwork upload page. And I'll try and share my screen so you guys can actually have a look at it. Let me try and make sure that everything is working as expected. This is still in testing, so you won't actually be able to see it just yet. Let me know if you can actually see my screen now. I'm hoping it would. You would be able to see it now. Perfect. Now you can. Cool. So you'll see me filling there a little bit. So this is how this is the major update, where you'll actually have we've detailed what kind of images you need to upload, or you don't need to, but we strongly suggest that you upload these different kind of angles and images and close-ups, because this is based on the questions and queries that we get from buyers pretty much every single day. So primary photo, the style screen, like if you want to put your own in situ, that's fine. Signature sides, close-ups, and another in situ if you like to put one. And basically a few other details which just go into a little bit more depth of what the artwork is about, ask a few more questions. There are a few more options that you can put in, just so it makes it a bit clearer for the person looking at the artwork. Categories have not been updated just yet. That will come soon as well. and just a few more availability options, and also the frame option. So you can actually say that people can get a frame by request, and when they see that option, they can just reach out, and then we can arrange for that. So this basically what it does is I'll just stop this. This basically what it does is it addresses a lot of questions that we get on a day-to-day basis from people, and just answers them proactively. Just so that it makes their buying behavior and buying experience a little bit easier. So they don't have to ask questions, and they can just find those answers regularly. You would have already noticed that in the Ask a Question button on every artwork, we've added a few more layers. So if people have a particular question, and we can proactively get a bit more information from them in one go, so it just reduces a little bit of back and forth with them, and it just helps. So now when we get a commission inquiry, we already have all that information, and we can skip almost 2 or 3 steps, which is quite handy. So that's exciting. There are a few other things in the artist side of things in the pipeline that should be coming out in the next probably 2 to 3 weeks. There are a lot of other projects going on this side, and it's an exciting time, but it's also a significantly busy time. So that is quite exciting. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, just quickly going back to my notes, the other thing I wanted to talk about was the new art emails. So the new art emails, which is when people follow you, when people follow an artist, and the idea is that when the artist uploads a new artwork, the next day, depending on that particular collector's, that account's email preferences, they would receive an email the next morning. So for example, if I have followed 10 different artists, and in my settings I've said I want to get an email once a week. So once a week I will get an email which will have a consolidated list of all the artists that have uploaded an artwork that I followed in that week. Now, this setup is the way it works is not perfect at this point. It was coded ages ago when Bluethumb first started, and it's being reworked, restored right now. And so basically the idea is to improve the system itself, and also we'll try and make it a bit more visible for all of us to be able to see how it actually works, so we can note and quickly amend if something is not going correctly. So that's something that has come up a few times, and I just quickly want to take a minute and just say that that is actually being worked on right now, and that should be in effect quite soon actually. So if I have to give you a timeline, it will be maybe end of April, or probably first week of May, or somewhere around that. But it is a big project, and it also is significantly important for all of us. So that will be so that's being worked on right now. Cool. Let me see if I've missed anything that I wanted to mention. Okay, cool. I'm just going to jump on the chat now and just see if there are any questions that I can address to them now. You will see my face for the next few seconds, just trying to scroll through. I like that you guys jumped on before and had a nice chat, which is good. Marion is coming to the exhibition Friday. That's fantastic. It would be nice to see you, Marion. Peter's coming as well. Jacqueline's asking, Jacqueline's asking, is it okay for us to put our prices up to cover the 5 to 10 thingy, or is that bad selling karma? It's not a, you can definitely do that. Put your prices up 5 to 10% if you like to. And this is, this is a personal opinion, and I would say this, that those are options for people to pay. And it's not going to apply to each and every artwork or each and every sale. And it's obviously difficult to say beforehand which ones are they going to be applied to. I would personally say try it before you make any big changes in your pricing or anything else, or even how you feel about these services, because I'm assuming that you guys have not used these before. So I would really say that try it first. Maybe give it a couple of weeks, see how it actually affects you before before sort of like getting invested into it too much work wise. But it's absolutely fine if you would like to increase your prices 5 or 10% to accommodate that. Donna Parker is asking, does that mean their logos will be added to our Facebook, Instagram, etc. posts for customers to see easily? Donna, what I meant when I was saying that was you can use their logos when you are posting. Well, essentially, you can use their logos into your own website or portfolio if you have them, or when you are posting on Instagram or Facebook, you can use their logos or their names to say, if you want to buy it through here, you can buy it through with Afterpay and Zip Money, and you can just link them back to your profile or artwork, and they can use that option when it's available. So essentially, the idea is that using their logos make it, because they have such wide spread recognition. So using Afterpay's logo or Zip's logo, it sort of brings in this a different level of trust. So even if someone hasn't seen your work before or is not familiar with Bluethumb, they would still recognize the logos of Afterpay and Zip, and that's something that you can leverage to sort of get that engagement going. The links in the YouTube video description, they would lead you directly to the logos that you can use for Zip and Afterpay. And I will put up an article after this, probably today, if not today, then tomorrow, with Art Money's details as well, so you can use that. Laurie, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Laurie. She's saying that's good to have this option with installments payments, but if someone wants to pay in one time, is that still okay? Yes. So all these options are available to people based on how many artworks or which artwork are they buying. So Afterpay is only applicable to artworks or orders rather, which are under $1,000. So it will only show up if they have pieces which are under $1,000. Art Money is only applicable to artworks which are more than $1,000, and Zip is available to both these. And throughout all these, no matter how many artworks or what the total value is, they can still choose to pay directly via credit card or PayPal or EFT the way they do now in full in one go. We would love that. We would definitely, that is our preferred choice. These are just these are just options that we are giving to these people. So if price point and paying all in full in one go right now is a problem for them, then they can use these options. But if obviously people, real collectors, as you would want to call it, people who actually have that kind of money and they want to buy it right now, if they want to pay it totally enough upfront in full, that's absolutely fine. Marian is asking how reliable are the current dashboard graphs? Also, the number of views and number of likes are out of whack. With the dashboard numbers, we put out an article yesterday. So I'll put a link on the Facebook group, and I'll put a link on your dashboards as well. What we want to do with the numbers are the dashboard graphs and the numbers that you see are correct. The only thing missing in there is the historic data. What we want to do, and I don't want to go into detail in that right now, mostly because we try to keep this about what this webinar is about. But in the next webinar, we'll hold like a 15 to 20 minute session just for the dashboard numbers, and we can address all of these things directly in there. What I'll do is I will, while I'm here, I'll just post that link to the article that we released yesterday for you guys to have a read. That just addresses these points. Here we go. I'll just post this in the chat as well as I will also post it in the comments below so you can actually see that. Have a quick read of this. This should answer most of the questions, but we'll hold a separate session to answer these questions just so that we don't miss out on anything. But the numbers, the graph and the numbers and the recognition and the engagement that you see, they're all accurate and they're live as well. Gerald is asking about what commissions do the lay buyers charge and who pays that. Gerald, there are a few articles on the help center, in the help center on Bluethumb, and the email that we sent out late last week that addresses all of this in detail. So if you want to jump in there and just have a quick read, I think that should answer all of those questions. Lisa's saying she's used Afterpay and she likes it. It's a good service. I've used it plenty of times, even if like it's a small thing of like 30 odd bucks. It's just fine to pay it with Afterpay because I mean as a buyer it's a really easy service, and if I'm buying something for like $300 to $400, if I have to pay that in full right now, I just have to make a lot of calculations in my head, considering what if I have to buy or pay for something that is more important. Because most of the times when I'm buying something online, it's mostly for luxury, so it's for fun. I'm buying camping stuff, or I'm buying something phone related or something technology, something fun. But if that is for $200 to $300 or $400, I wouldn't do that because I would first consider what important expenses I have. With Afterpay, it's just like, right, fine, I don't actually have to pay that full amount right now, so it just sort of gets spread in 2 months, which is quite handy from a buyer's point of view. Haley is saying the payment options only apply to high price artworks, so it won't affect all artworks. Haley, have a read through the article and the email as well. Afterpay is applicable to all artworks under $1,000, and ZipPay essentially is applicable to artworks under $1,000 as well, if the buyers choose to use that to purchase it. If they want to pay it outright, they can do that as well. All the options are available to them to use. Question, Donna Parker is asking, so you did not word my question very well. I meant, are you guys putting the logos on the section where we post our artworks on Bluethumb to make prospective buyers aware you have the facility? Yes, Donna, we will be doing that. Can I show you now? I don't think I can show you right now, but we will be, for each artwork, depending on its price range, we will be putting those logos in there so that people can know that they have the option if they would like to. It saves them, because if we do get those inquiries quite often, people on the chat are asking if we have lay-by options. But a lot of people, instead of asking us, they have to go all the way to checkout to actually see if we have these options. So adding them on the artwork page just quickly answers that question. The one thing that pretty much every online business, not online business, but sort of like e-commerce platforms try to do is preempt what questions, concerns, what thing is important to the person who's trying to buy something, and answer that proactively. That is pretty much the whole game. So, if we can answer most of the questions that people ask without them asking them, just make that information available. It makes the whole experience of it really easy, and they can actually just go through with it. Fiona is asking about the dashboard numbers. If the dashboard is correct, why are we getting 10% of views we got previously? And I'm not talking about as targeter. Fiona, I don't think I can answer that question. Why are we getting 10% of the views? That is different for different artists. But again, I will try to not go into too much detail on it. I've got 4 more minutes, or I've got 9 more minutes to go. But we will keep a webinar and dedicate 15 to 20 minutes just for this next webinar, so we can address these questions there. Have a read at that article, the one that I've put. It might answer your questions in there. Michelle's asking, when quoting on framing, the cost works out to be expensive because the 30% is added as the additional shipping charges. Is this something Bluethumb has considered? Cost works out to be expensive. Michelle, most of the time when framing is being done by the buyer, like if they're requesting to get a piece framed, we try and quote that separately to them. I remember from memory a couple of cases of yours that we've done that separately as well. If you already have a piece framed, or if you've already calculated it, then you include the whole thing in one. But if you're talking to the buyer and getting that done, it's usually separate. We try to not take commission on framing. It just increases the costs unnecessarily. It's right now that in the system, we haven't built a separate price point or sort of like a price section for framing, which we feel like might be required in the next 6 months or so. But at this point, we just quote that separately to the buyer without adding commission to it. A couple more questions about the dashboard numbers. What my dashboard Deborah is asking what my dashboard says for favorites in the last week does not match actual favorites received in the last week. One artwork alone has had more favorites than my dashboard says for all artworks. Again, I won't go into detail of this, Deborah, but if you're comparing the favorites of your artworks from your My Artwork page, those are total numbers, so they are not in any time frame. Again, we'll note these questions down and we can address it in the next one. I don't want this webinar to solely be about dashboard numbers, because it will take a lot of time and will sort of detract from when people are watching this for the Layby questions and answers. Jillian's saying, I do not understand how promoting an art listing on Twitter gets 0 views. Before, when I did this, I could push my stats go up. Now 0, but promote art listing on eBay and up go views. I think that's more of an opinion related comment, Jillian. I don't know if I can answer that. Lisa's saying, it's great that you guys are automating things to streamline processes. Please don't take all the human connection out of it, though. Too many other online businesses gone out that way. No, don't worry about that. There's always a human connection, and we talk to people, and we try to talk to them less over emails and chats and more over the phone. It's just easier to talk to someone instead of like talking to someone over emails. It's just much easier to sort of gauge their tone and make that connection with them, and we try to keep that pretty much every time. Michelle saying a separate framing option would be great. Sounds like I need to talk to your team directly when quoting on framing rather than putting my price in the system. Yes, please do that. Talk to us. Same happens when you discount works by yourself as well. And I thought I'd mention it because it's happened a few times. Say, for example, you are lowering the prices of some of your artworks. Instead of simply reducing the artwork value on the listing, and if you're doing this for a particular person or a particular time frame, like a week or so or something like that, ask us and we can give you a discount code. So say, for example, you are reducing all your artworks by 10% or 15% or something. we can give you a code for that. So you can pass that on to your, when you're marketing yourself on your social media or something. What that does is it doesn't reduce the display price on the artwork. So say, for example, the piece was listed at $1,000 and you're getting 15% off, which I'm not going to calculate how much it is. So the person pays 15% less, but the artwork will still be listed at $1,000 on the site, which helps for future sales, because then people don't have the expectation that this piece was actually sold for $850 or whatever. So that it doesn't reduce the value of your artwork in the long term. And same thing with the framing as well. So if you are already framing it, then it's a completely different situation where you put in one piece. But if you've listed something unframed and then a buyer wants it framed and you're quoting for framing separately, then just give us the framing cost. We're not going to add commission onto it, and we can pass that on as is without adding any commission to it. Lisa's asking discount codes. What if you only want to reduce one painting? That's fine as well. Just let us know so we can give you that one code, and then I'm assuming that you want to give that to one particular client as well. So we can give you one particular code, which is you can just pass that on to that client. Cool. That's the end of the comments. So a couple of things that I've learned from this webinar is I need to double check when I'm putting the link up on your dashboards so you guys can actually see. I know that a lot of people didn't get to see that. With emails, we try to not do that every single time because tens of thousands of emails going out every other week can get a little bit hectic. So we try to do that either just before like major ones or something really important when it's going down. But we'll try to make sure and double check the links on your profile when I do that. I'm not sure why that's happening. I could see it from mine, so I just assume that's working. I need to make sure that I can at least test for a few more. Yep, Lisa, that's fine for either of those options. Robin's asking, when we be able to see which painting a buyer wants to buy? I'm assuming, Robin, are you talking about add to carts? You can see which one they've added to cart. That information is not available now, but at the bottom of your dashboard, there's a section which is kind of blurred out right now, which is an artwork level detail of everything. So basically everything you see about views and favorites and add to carts and impressions and all that, you see the collective one right now. But within that, once that artwork level detail is built, you will see all of these for individual artworks. So then you'll be able to see which artwork was added to cart and which wasn't. But also, while I'm here and talking about add to cart, I did put out an article just explaining a couple of points around add to cart and impressions. But just quickly, add to cart, what that really means is someone is considering your piece. They might be doing that for various different reasons, but it does not put your artwork on hold. It doesn't stop from anyone else to buy it. And add to cart is actually good in a way because it adds popularity points to your artworks, which means it actually goes up in the popular artwork section. So all in all, it's a pretty good event for that artwork to happen. Cool. We've done really well to stay in the time limit. Got 1 minute remaining. I'll just wait if anyone has any other questions. Otherwise, I'll try and wrap up. I have to put out an article around Art Money and its logos. Have a look at the logos and the links that I've put in under the description of this artwork. They will be handy if you want to use those for your marketing. But it's Afterpay and Zip Money are not going to be available for the next at least 6 to 8 weeks. So maybe don't do that now. But if you want to use Art Money, and you can use that anytime. That should be done today. NJ Finance asking about can I do anything about the queries that hasn't showed up? If you just reach out on the chat or send an email to help, it can go to the right person who looks after. I don't personally book or look after couriers anymore, but we can do nothing. Scott's asking, will discount codes work with Afterpay? Yes, they will, depending on how much the discount code is and if it is made particularly for that person. But yes, they will work with the discount codes, please. Donna saying, thanks for your time and good luck with the exhibition Thursday when you come. It's a good question. I have been to Adelaide a couple of times where we just couldn't manage to bring together all the artists. There was a strong plan to come for the Fringe, but I'm pretty sure we missed that. Maybe later this year we'll try and do one for Adelaide. I think Freddie and Sarah are going to Perth. I don't know when. Maybe next month. So they'll try and meet with a few artists while they're there. I might go to Brisbane in May and try to see if I can arrange a small meet to just say hello to the Brisbane artists, and Adelaide should be next. Our small team, which includes Melissa and Ed and an intern, Ethan, they work from Adelaide, but they have a small office, and you guys don't get to interact them that much, so that's why they're not involved in artist meetups. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, I do a lot of hard work for my beard. It just doesn't grow by itself. All right, perfect. Guys, I'll leave it here, but please, if you want to leave comments on this video, leave it under the video so we can actually see those comments. With the chat, it sometimes gets hidden, so it's much easier if you leave the comments in the comment section, or simply either chat on Facebook group, or if you want to chat on, if you want to send us an email on help, that will be easy as well. One of these days, what I really want to do, and we were trying to do it last week but couldn't do, what I really want to do is take you guys through and sort of like a typical day of Bluethumb team members, and what we do and how we do it, and what it looks like. I think it'll be fun for you guys to see what we actually do on our computers, how we talk to people, how things work. When someone buys something, what happens? When someone's trying to buy something, what happens? When something goes wrong, what happens? When something goes wrong, who's the first person to react to it? Who gets to it? And just the sort of background of it. And we'll try and do that. Maybe not the next one, maybe the one after that. I think it'll be interesting, and I think you guys will be interested to see that as well. All right, perfect. Thanks, guys. Thanks for jumping on, and thanks for bearing with just me. I know it's a bit boring when Sarah's not here, but thanks for bearing with just my face and listening to everything I said. Perfect. I will leave this here now, and if you guys have any other questions at all, just reach out, and we'll try to get to them as soon as possible. All right. Bye.